Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of my amendment that would ensure that no taxpayer dollars are used to implement a vaccine mandate. This amendment applies across the federal government as well as to the District of Columbia, since the district falls under the oversight of the Congress and uses taxpayer dollars for its operation as the seat of the United States government. We cannot forget how the COVID lockdowns were exploited by the government to infringe on the personal liberties of Americans. These tyrannical lockdowns and mandates were used to inflict unneeded economic damage on small towns in rural America and on business owners across the country. The government crushed the economy during COVID with unjustified lockdowns, lockouts, restrictions, mandates, and more. The government harmed and mistreated our children during COVID, closing schools, requiring masks, and forcing vaccines on those who were never truly at risk from the virus. The government suppressed information and perpetuated lies. The government prevented documents and health care providers from doing what they believed was best for their patients to combat COVID. The government trampled on basic liberties such as the freedom of speech and expression, the freedom of worship, the freedom of assembly, the freedom to make a living or to operate your business, the freedom of movement and travel, the freedom to educate your children, and much more. The government lied about the risk of the virus. The government lied about the vaccine, the effectiveness of the vaccine. The government lied about the need to wear a mask. The government treated everyone like those who were truly at risk, the elderly and those with extra comorbidity factors. The government forced the termination of frontline medical personnel, first responders, law enforcement, and military personnel for not getting a vaccine, regardless of whether or not they were at serious risk or had already had the virus and therefore had natural immunity. The government stripped away the right to privacy, medical freedom, and bodily autonomy. The government didn't follow the science. History will judge the government harshly for the harm done to the American people, especially to our children, during the pandemic. President Biden mercifully, finally, declared the COVID-19 public health emergency over just on May 11 of this year. This was long past due. Unfortunately, though, vaccine mandates are still in place in some places across the country. In fact, nearly 100 universities across the country still require a COVID-19 vaccine just to attend school this year. For college students who were never at serious risk for the vaccine. It's time we protect taxpayers from unwillingly funding more restrictive mandates. More importantly, it's time we protect Americans' most basic fundamental liberties. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this common sense amendment, and I reserve.